Hi, I'm Jonathan with Lazy Lizard Internet. We specialize in running web servers that are fine-tuned for WordPress sites to keep your WordPress site speedy and secure. I will actually mention a few of the things we do to keep security high on our servers as I show you how to easily and quickly reset your WordPress admin password in just a minute. If you're a WordPress administrator or site owner, there are a lot of reasons why you might lose your password and need to reset it. The way WordPress handles this is to put a lost password link at the bottom of your admin login page, but sometimes, for various reasons, you may not be able to use that. Sometimes you just might need to go into the back end and completely reset your password directly from the database itself. That's what we call doing a hard reset. You might think you could go into the database and see your password, but you can't because the passwords are all encrypted, so all you can see is the encryption code, which will do you no good at all, believe me. But the good news is you can enter a new password there and encrypt it without any hassle at all. So let's go take a look and see how it's done. All right, we are on the WordPress login screen, and I'm going to type in my username, which is no, and I'm going to type my password, which this is what it has always been in the past. But oh no, it suddenly doesn't work. So, oh gosh, let me try again, blah, blah, blah. No, that doesn't work either. Now you got to be careful because you might be with the host. In the case of Lazy Lizard, we have all the servers set. So if you log in more than a certain number of times with the wrong login information, you will be locked out for 24 hours. And the reason for that is security, because hackers try to log in, they do brute force password attacks where they just try over and over and over again until they eventually guess your password. They use software to do that, so it's not just random guessing. But what happens is if you don't put some security on the server itself to lock people out when they do not have the proper login information, your server is less secure than it should be. And it's part of what we do at Lazy Lizard to enhance the servers and fine-tune them for WordPress, because a lot of hacks happen this way, and we had a lot of trouble in the past 10, 15 years ago before we learned our lessons about these things. And if somebody hacks into one WordPress site, they can sometimes, through holes and exploits, get into other WordPress sites that are on the same server. So this is something we do to protect all the WordPress sites on each server. All right, so I'm not going to try to log into this anymore. But what you do, now you want to reset the password. You can click this lost password link and you can type in your username or your email address. But here's what happens. There are several reasons why this might not work. One, you may have put the wrong the wrong email address into WordPress. You may have had a typo in your email address. You've never used it before. Perhaps you've never received an email. You didn't need an email, so you weren't looking for an email. And you never realized that you didn't have the correct address in there in the first place. Another thing that can happen is perhaps you did have the correct email address, but maybe you changed email addresses a while back and you forgot to change it in WordPress, and now it's going to send your new login information to an email address you no longer have access to. So that's another problem that can happen. And there's one other problem that can happen potentially. That is, let's say you're trying to log in because you're having trouble with your site. Something's wrong and you need to fix it. But the trouble is something went wrong on the server. So you try to log in and it doesn't work. So you try the lost password link. It's going to email you the information you need to recover your password or reset it. And for some reason, the server can't send the email. So that can happen too. You might have a situation where your server, for whatever reason, and there are hundreds of reasons this could happen, but where your server cannot send you the email. So let's say you have no access to this lost password link in WordPress. Let's just say it's not going to work for you, okay? So, okay, there's the site. Anyway, I'm trying to log into it. So that didn't work. Now what I'm going to do is go to the database, and on the Lazy Lizard servers, as most web hosts that use cPanel, you have a control panel that gives you direct access to the back end of your server and all kinds of things you can control. You can set up email accounts down here. You can use a file manager, which is like FTP, upload, download files, check all the files on the server. So in this case, I'm going to go to the database section and I'm going to click on PHP My Admin. All right. That's going to take me to the whatever you want to call it, the software where you can actually look at the database itself. Now, you know, it's the database that controls WordPress. It completely controls it. All right. Now, these are the tables on the left in the database. And WordPress suggests putting WP underscore before all the table names. We suggest for security purposes, to make your site even a little more secure, that you change that default WP to something else. You can put anything. You can put your first name. You can put John Brown underscore post or whatever. Anyway, the point here is we're going to go to this table for users. So here we call it WP1 underscore users. Yours will probably say WP underscore users unless you have customized it to have a prefix that's different from the default WP that WordPress puts in there automatically. So I'm going to click on users. This is very, very easy. Now here is the user. I only have one user set up here and the username is no. Okay, I'm going to click edit. And all I'm going to do is go here. You look for this password field, user pass. Okay, this is the password. Now this isn't exactly the password. This is what your password looks like after it's been encrypted. All right. So actually this wouldn't make a bad password though, if you want to use something like that. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to put in a password, blah, 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 like that. I'm going to copy it so I can use this in a minute. Now that's not going to work because it has to be encrypted. All right. So what you want to do is go to this drop down box, scroll down to MD5, and you're going to check MD5. All right. Now, if you press reset because you think you're resetting the password, that's not going to work. That's just resetting this form back to what it was before you made any changes. Okay. So I did that just to show you. I'm going to paste that password back in. I'm going to go back to MD5. You have to press go. Okay. You press go here. All right. So now let's go back to our login. Click login there. And I'm going to type in the username, which is no. And I'm going to type the password or paste the password that I just chose, which you can see here is what I just chose. And voila, it logs you right in. Now, if you're using a password manager, which we recommend to all of our clients, click update to update your password there. All right. We recommend password managers. Again, that is another element that adds to security. People who do not use password managers tend to use very simple passwords that can be guessed or cracked fairly easily. And they tend to use the same passwords everywhere. So maybe they use the same password on their Amazon account, and maybe a hacker broke into Amazon and got your password from there, and then they discover you have a website over here, and they try that password, and it works. So that's it. Very simple, and pretty much anyone can do it, which is what makes WordPress so darn awesome. If you're working with WordPress as a beginner or intermediate user, check out my other videos as I show you how some of the seemingly most difficult problems are actually very easy to solve.